What's up, everybody? Hope you're having an awesome day. There's still snow behind Curtis. It's really nice. One day I'm going to go visit him.
I
I'm
know.
not sure when.
Someday. You got to pick a
Uh,
season. We're either going to go fly fishing or we're going to go skiing.
it's probably going to be fly fishing. It's probably
All
going to
right.
be it.
All right.
Fly fishing, and then you're going to take me out to a secret area, and we're gonna test some weapons.
Yeah. 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 It's Utah. Everybody's
You got. I,
packing.
I need. I hope you have ninja stars because I need to throw those
Yeah,
everywhere.
we'll throw out some of those too.
All right, welcome everybody. We're going to be talking about farming, but differently. And that's why I
Yeah.
love talking to Curtis. There's always a twist when we get together. Uh,
Well, and it's never something crazy. It's always these minor tweaks that if people would just approach something just slightly different, they could drastically improve their results.
you know, dude, hold on. Because now you brought up you reminded me of something. I had a conversation with, Janki
Uh-huh.
Patel. She's out of
Yeah.
the Silicon Valley. She's an agent with us. She does about 60 million in volume, so pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, And she and I were talking about RedX yesterday. And the way we got to it was interesting because it was, by the way, I'm logging on to something because I want to showcase it too. We were talking about opportunities we have with the tech that we have. And
Hmm.
so she has RedX. And she's like, uh, but she says, I'm not sure I'm using it correctly. And then I said, well, tell me what you want to use it for. She went through it and I said, yeah, you aren't. So let's do this. I go, you want to farm? You have so many opportunities here to farm where you have not only the postcards that would go out because you guys added the postcards last month,
Yeah.
but to me, the more important thing, the one what we get the most return on is retargeting. And you could do
Right.
it so easily on
Right.
any brand new listing in any area.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do just so that people could, as you're talking, I'm trying to log into this thing. I wanted to showcase kind of like and create a flow chart so people can follow along because I don't know that people know the possibilities of what you can do with RedX when it comes to everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, which is why farming is such a big deal. So let me I just want to set the stage of what we're talking about um around someone's CRM, right? Because at the end of the day, the number one source of business should be your sphere of influence. It should be your CRM. And
Would you say like your database is like the core?
Yeah, it should be, right? For a good agent. And one of the goals to create a predictable and sustainable business is to have a really healthy database that you have that's augmented with automations, right? So you have automations going out to keep in touch. You're proactively maintaining relationships with people in that database. And the bigger the database, the more healthy the database, the more listings you're gonna to be able to do, and the easy ones, right? Not the ones you
Yeah.
have to go grind, on the phone to get an
Hmm.
appointment to go after, right? It's
Okay.
the it's the come list me type leads that come from
Yeah.
good relationships over time. So the challenge I've talked about this a whole bunch, but the challenge is that the turnover rate in America is at historical low. So we're 2.9% of the country is turning over right now, meaning 2.9% of homeowners are just selling their home and moving. That's the lowest it's been since the early 90s, which is crazy, which is why our transaction numbers are low. But if you look at your database, if your database should at least be what the national turnover rate is. Like if you have 1,000 people in your database, and I'm not talking about referrals, that's a separate strategy from your database, right? Let's
What
just
are
talk
you
about
talking about?
if you're talking about 1,000 people in your database, your sphere of influence,
Hmm.
30 of them are going to list. That's just that's the turnover rate. Now, the reason that would be lower is that there's so many agents right now who have filled their database with internet leads that are known to have a 0.2% conversion over a 24-month sales cycle.
So hold on. Are you telling me that my so would a healthy database include these online leads, or would a healthy database,
It
or
could,
would we
it could,
start separating the database, like past clients sphere, and then everyone else that just we dropped in because they came in through online or somewhere else?
yeah. I mean, some people like we need to get away from the vanity metric of how many people are in our database. That's one thing. We just need to get away from that. It's not helping. Like I could have
Yeah,
10,000 people in my database and I have all these automations and it's not producing any business.
yeah.
Um, I yeah, you could separate it, segment it. You could look at turnover rates of different sources of how is going into your database. That's really easy to do with any of the major CRMs that people should be using right now. But
Mm-hmm.
but my point is this is if you fill your CRM with low converting people, your database has lower conversion. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I see what you're
right.
saying.
So if you fill your database with higher converting people,
Hmm.
then it converts higher. So if you want to make one tiny small tweak in everything that you're doing, just make sure that whoever you focus your whatever marketing strategy you have, and today we're talking about farming, is you want to focus your farming on areas that have a higher turnover rate than your database does at 3%.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
I like that.
so I know you were logging in to RedX. Let me log in to RedX and show it.
Yeah,
You
I've
can see
got
my
mine.
screen here.
It's loading. There it is. Got you.
Okay.
Just a
So,
quick note, Case, when we're putting this up on YouTube, can you make sure that the team uh, grays out any information for anybody, or YouTube will knock this video out?
yeah. And
Thanks.
and and I can avoid that. I'll just show you on the map view here. But if I'm going to find an area to prospect in, let's say, I work in this entire city right here, right? This entire
Yeah.
city.
Okay.
Well, if
Spanish
if
for.
I if I go on here and I look at this,
Uh-huh.
these 500 people has a 7% turnover rate. So that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty
Very
good
true.
compared to the 3% national average. But I might want, and I don't know this market very well, but if I wanted to pull in a boundary here,
Curtis, I'm making my own boundary as you're talking, by the way.
okay,
Mm.
this right here, that's a small boundary. There's only 113 properties in there. But that boundary, let's see, I got this major road right here. I'm gonna pull this in. And let's just make sure I have this.
This was, by the way, this was my favorite tool you showed me uh last week on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Well, it's
I didn't know
turnover rate,
about the
but,
turnover,
and
right?
so step one to finding a good farm area is understanding what the turnover rate is. Like, if you want to go own an area and no one moves there, like less than 3% of the people are selling their home every year, then that's a lot of effort, you know, for less listings than if you farm an area that has a higher turnover rate, right?
Yeah.
So we can mess around with this and we can find the turnover rate, you know, of these properties. This whole area seems to have about a 10% turnover rate. This is, this south of this major highway. This is a
Hmm.
pretty good neighborhood, pretty good area. I'm coming in close to a golf course over here, you know. And if I want to pull these people in and I want to look at the turnover rate of this neighborhood, um, right? This whole neighborhood
Yeah.
is 11% turnover rate. That's pretty good. Like if I
That's
just wanted
great.
to farm this area, that would be really important. So step one is finding a neighborhood that has high turnover rate. I would suggest you look for places that have about a 12% turnover rate in the neighborhood,
Damn. Okay.
and you can find them in your market. Well, let me say it this way. I would look for somewhere that has up to 3 times the turnover rate than what your average turnover rate is in your marketplace. Does that make
Got you.
sense?
Yeah. Because I'm looking at an area right now close to me, and I'm looking because I'm doing the same thing you're doing, just different area. And I've got an 8% turnover rate. So
Mhm.
now if I have, but that makes a lot of sense, man. I never thought to just be like, my whole mentality on this was, okay, it has to just be over 5%, right? That's what I kept on thinking.
But if you can double what your turnover rate is, and then you can make a decision. What is your goal? There's farming to own an area. So
Mm-hmm.
here's if you're building a flow chart, this is step number two would be to look in the MLS and see if there's any other agent that you think has 10% market share or more in the number of listings there.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that you can't go in there and compete and own it. It's just harder than if you find a neighborhood that has a high turnover rate and there's no agent that has a huge market share on the listings that did sell.
Yeah. Damn, bro. You,
So
I've been doing this for years, and you should have listen. You should have you should have dropped that number last week on Monday. I'm like now I'm looking at it a little differently. So thank you.
so you want to look at the turnover rate, and this will help you find a market where you could start to own the neighborhood. And this is pretty simple. There was a test done where they did a survey in a neighborhood. They said, who is the number one real estate agent in your neighborhood? And they had nobody won. Everybody pretty much said the person that they probably was top of mind for them. Then what they did is they did a series of I can't remember if it was 8 or 12 weeks. Let's say 12 weeks. That probably makes more sense. Of
Yeah.
of postcards to every home in that neighborhood with a fake agent profile on the postcard.
Okay.
At the
Okay.
end, at the end of these 3 months, 4 months, they resurveyed people who's the number one agent in their area, and it was the fake agent that they've been getting postcards for the last 3 months. Right. So
That makes sense.
it's consistency, consistent exposure to a neighborhood. So that's the marketing aspect. So you say, well, how do I do that? Well, if you have RedX, you just pull these leads in, you send them postcards, right? You have all the names, phone numbers, email addresses of every single homeowner in that neighborhood. You
I
do
found a
social.
12% turnover rate.
There it is,
All
12%.
right. I just wanted
Well,
to let you know.
well, 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 pull the leads in right now. Well, grab 1,000 and make sure you're doing 1,000 because
Oh, there's
because
only okay. So there's
because
six.
once you
The
have a
problem is
thousand,
okay.
and it doesn't have to be the same neighborhood. You could grab the 12% neighborhood here and the 12% neighborhood here. You could group those in a folder. Once you get to 1,000, now you
Uh-huh.
can create a custom audience on Facebook with Ad
Mm,
Builder.
gotcha. You're right. All
And
right. So
and
there's
and now those
675
people
here.
those people are seeing because you could pull that in and pull in the Ad Builder. I actually don't think I'm hooked up to the right account. I was going to show you Tyler's account, who actually runs ads for neighborhoods and open houses in his, and he averages like 15 cents a click on open house RSVPs.
Okay, question on that really
Yep.
quick. Hold on. Let me rename. I'm actually doing real work while you're talking because I'm building out the list. Hold on. Hidden Canyon. Um, when I'm building this out, so I'm gonna steal your screen.
Yep.
Okay.
Do it.
Uh, allow. Let me replace it with my
I got it.
screen.
Yep.
Vortex. Okay. So give me 1 second. I went to Geoli. I'm just going to show you what I did. 9 1 3 6 2. So I have this area. You see it already. It's the gray area. I chose
Yeah.
that
You
area.
already pulled it. Yep.
Yeah, I pulled it. I just did the boundary thing. I'm just showing everybody what we did. I did the boundary thing. I used to live here years ago, so I know the area very well. And after I couldn't find that conversion rate you're talking about, I was like,
Mhm.
where would be? I'm like, oh, that's right, this area. I'm going to preview it, and you see I found it, 12%, right?
Well, 12% is only 50. You only did 50. Just put
Yeah,
that in up
I
to
know.
500 or
Yeah, I do a
1,000.
thousand because there's 600.
Yep.
Now it
Six.
reduced, but check this out. There's only 649 properties there. But
Yep.
here's the cool part. Oh, sorry. I'm getting a little excited. On the right, you've got owner occupied and the non-owner occupied. So if I go non-owner occupied, look at this, bro. That's why I was
Oh,
happy. I was like, that's it right there.
those 100 properties turned over, those are high turnover areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why I was flipping out. I was like, oh, I got to do this. So, and then owner occupied, obviously a lot less, right?
Yep.
But that just, I was like, wait a second, dude. If I can then go and find the other townhomes in this area, like all of Westlake, right? Get to just over 1,000. And now my messaging with your postcards that you're doing are all targeting
Right.
non-owner occupied, has the right language with this turnover rate.
Well, now
That's
do this.
crazy.
Now do this, Tristan. Go down on the filters to years of ownership, and now put that they've been in their home for at least 2 years. Now it's going to show a 0% turnover rate because if they've lived in their home for 2 years, nobody turned over.
True, true.
But when you do this and pull those in, and now you filter that in, now you just grabbed everybody who didn't sell last year or the year before. So you're still getting the non-owner occupied in a high turnover rate, and
Oh,
you're not wasting your postcards on the people who just bought the house a year ago.
so minimum, you could be like, hey, you've lived here
Yeah.
for Oh, I like
Yep.
that, man.
And turnover rate's going to show zero because it's looking if they've nobody sold last year, so there's no turnover rate when you start using years of ownership. So
That's perfect.
um but you can start to filter those people out again because marketing dollars are precious, right? And you don't want to waste
Yeah.
marketing dollars on people who aren't going to turn into business. And so you want to same with postcard. You want to even though a postcard's only 88 cents. These ones, have you been sending these out yet? With
No, but we did line them up.
okay,
This is the
so for
other area that I farm. This is what I wanted to check. I'm gonna do this really quick live. Let me grab this right there. Let me do the preview. That's
you got to clear
including,
your filters if you
oh,
want.
clear. How do I clear my filters here? Clear all.
Right
There we
there.
go.
There you go.
All right, got it.
So you have about a
Uh,
5% turnover rate in that neighborhood.
okay, then I've got, I want non-owner. Let's see what happens.
7.
Okay, so not bad, but not the seven that I want, right? All right, give me a sec. I'm gonna do one more just because you've got me thinking, okay? This is the other area that I used to live in. That's where I grew up. I'm gonna just pick a little area. I used to door knock all this area. Hold on, we used to go up to here. This is where I first door knocked, Curtis.
Nice.
Right out of college, right there. Casa Conejo.
You know,
That's where I learned.
59% of agents that make $250,000 a year or more in GCI still knock doors.
Yeah, well,
50.
it makes sense. You get the experience of actually talking to people and engaging
Yeah.
with them, man.
Yeah.
It's a it's a big deal. Um, oh, 6%, not what I thought. All right, all right. All right, but you did give me some good ideas
Yeah.
on this one. So I'm going to, all right. So what do I do when I'm in that screen? If you want to share your screen again, to take it to the farming screen, like how do I do the postcards? And
Yeah.
then what would be the next step for retargeting?
So what you're going to do is you're going to create your filters. Um, so you've pulled those people into a folder. Let's assume that you've pulled a whole bunch of people into, a folder. We'll just say that this folder was, my farming area 2025, right? Um,
Hmm.
so if you have your farming area here, now you can go in here and you can start to filter that down. And I'm not going to go through all of that, but you could filter down. You could say, look, I really only want to talk to people who've been in their home for this long, or that have this much income, or that there's all kinds of filters in there. The homes that
Mhm.
match a certain description, I only really specialize in homes over a certain value or that have a certain amount of bedrooms or whatever. You can filter it
Mhm.
down. Once you have that filter for those neighborhoods, um, then you could just pull those up. So let's assume this was my, I filtered it down and I have these people in here. Well, I
Mhm.
could do a few things with them. I could load them up. I could call them all. I could load them up. I could send them postcards, right? These
Oh,
are
that's what I wanted to. Go back to there and show me how you did that.
so if you just grab one, this isn't expired. So our postcard templates are based on the lead type. These are geo leads because they just pulled them in from a neighborhood. So they're a little
Perfect.
bit more generic. Mail right here. So
Got
you're
you.
going to dial or you're going to mail, or you could
Hmm.
do other stuff, right? All of those other
Yep.
things you could do with them. But I'm going to mail. And we have some postcards that are pretty good. They each come with a QR code. You like my logo there? That was the first image I had on my computer to throw on there.
That's hilarious.
Maybe Nick and I can start a
Dude,
company.
I'm thinking like the shirtless duo, the shirtless duo.
That's right. So each one has a QR code. The QR code takes them to this really great piece of content. This will be branded to you, Tristan. So it puts
Hmm.
your information, your photo there. But it's
We
it's
get
just
this seller guide with we so this is already built in. We don't have the seller guide.
no, yeah, this gets built in and branded to you. You can send the QR code, you can have
Oh,
go to wherever you want. We just suggest send it to the place that of the content we built and proved that we know that it helps convert, right? So
got it. Okay.
um so it's
Then
it's pretty generic, right? But it's educating the person, it's telling them,
mhm.
you know, like it's giving advice on what they should do to get their home sold. It has like a whole checklist to get your house ready, all of this stuff. But the magic has already happened because they scanned the QR code. You already got a text message that said, "Hey, the person at this house just scanned your QR code."
Dude, I love that.
So
Question from
every
Junkie because she's watching. What's up,
Yep.
Junkie? I brought you up earlier. Not sure you heard that part, but I'm glad she's watching because she's asking, how about for coming soon listings? Can you do the same?
Yeah, you could do the same and for just listed, just sold, and all kinds of postcards and templates, or we give you a template that you can go in Canva and create whatever postcard you want.
Oh, so we could just open up that template in Canva, change it up
Yep.
for whatever I need to. Oh, dude, I
Yep.
love
Now the
that.
key is that the reason why we give a template is because that QR code, this is the magic. That QR code is custom to every single address that goes out. So that when they scan, we know who scanned it so that we can tell you who scanned your postcards. And what that
Got
does
it.
is now it establishes a relationship with that person. So now you could go back and text them, or they've interacted with you. That's when you want to put them into your CRM and start all of the automation, right? That you have in
Got
your
it.
CRM.
I have a
So
feeling that Junkie is going to want to, just for my conversation and text back and forth here, she's going to want to sign up. So, Curtis, can you give her that deal that ended on Thursday last week?
yep.
I'll text both of you.
Okay.
And that deal includes, Junkie, I know you're listening. So, that deal includes being able to send out the postcards, retargeting,
Yep.
ads, it includes everything.
Yep.
So you'll definitely want that. And that's what he was showing right now. Another question really quick, and then you can show me this, Curtis.
Yep.
Rosemary is asking, so now we can search by more than just ownership time. Can it be narrowed down by age of homeowner or what else can we do?
Let me pull that in. And we're constantly adding these. Um, so adding these filters. So right now, the different pre-search filters There's still more filters afterwards that you can filter down to within the neighborhood that you pull. But
Mm-hmm.
pre-search, you could do value, whether it's owner occupied or not, years of ownership, the year it was built, the property type, even if you just want to not, deal with certain property types, bedrooms, baths, square feet are all
Okay.
your pre-search filtering right now.
Okay. Perfect.
So, but then, the same way you could load them up and hit dial or load them up and mail, you can load them up and create an ad. And we have some templates. And I know this is a weird thing to say, but I usually tell people don't use these. Like the best social media is your face and your name. So you could go on and look at this and use it as inspiration and say, wow, that's a nice video, but I'm going to go create my own with me in the neighborhood saying, talking to the people in the neighborhood. That's the very
Mm-hmm.
best thing, right? So that you can grab those. You can create. You could just create your own ad, right? Now remember, this is a little different than a lot of ad strategies because almost every other ad strategy is about getting someone's contact information. But
Yeah,
you
very
already
true.
have their contact information. So really it's about marketing and branding and exposure, which does a couple of things. It means Facebook's algorithm treats the ad differently, and it ends up being way cheaper for you to get clicks and engagement on social media than if you were trying to generate the lead. So
Yeah.
so you could use the data. You come in here and you grab your saved filter. So I could grab my 2025, geo leads or neighborhood farm, and now I
Mm-hmm.
can come in here and I can create an ad. Right? I can upload a video. I can say, well, I'm going to send them to a link, and I'm going to create the ad, and you can publish the ad and do it all from here. You don't pay us for the ad spend, you pay Meta, right? Facebook and Instagram. So we're not marking that up. But now all of a sudden, imagine the the benefit of the combination of these things. I'm just trying to pull up I guess I'm in Florida now. So I pull up this neighborhood and it's 11% turnover rate, so that's pretty good over here. Um, I'm all of those people are going to see my face and hear my voice in their social feeds several times a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then meanwhile, the properties that you really want to get in touch with and create a relationship with, like I wouldn't unless it's your strategy. If you're trying to own the neighborhood, then you want to send a postcard to everybody who lives in the neighborhood. And then you
Mm-hmm.
might want to send a different postcard to all the homeowners because the postcard will send to the mailing address on the tax file. So it will go to wherever the homeowner lives. So if it's non-owner occupied, you can send them a different postcard, right?
God.
To get their attention there. And you're doing all that. And then imagine if you're in this neighborhood and you have a listing and you're going to hold an open house. Well, now you can run an ad about the open house and all of this exposure. How long do you take? It took 12 weeks of just postcards before people said, "Oh, Tristan is the number one agent in my marketplace." How
Yeah.
how long do you think it would take if they're seeing you all over Facebook? They're getting your postcard in the mail. Postcards have 100% exposure rate because even if they're looking at it on the way to the garbage can, they're looking at it, right? Especially these nice
Mm-hmm.
6x9 glossy postcards. So the whole point of all of this is if you want to farm in a different way, you want to create a brand and a reputation in the marketplace. So just to recap, because we're 30 minutes now, you want to find a neighborhood that has high turnover rate, and you want to check in the MLS to see if there's another agent that already has 10% or more market share in that area. And um, and again, it doesn't mean that you can't still compete. It's just going to be harder. It's way easier to build a brand in a neighborhood that nobody has. There's no single person that already has a big brand in that neighborhood. And then you just do marketing. It's the same stuff you're already doing. Send postcards to them, make a video on social media and hit go, right? Which there's a lot of fear around, but we've got tools and teleprompters and things to help you create your first video and get it out there. But if you want to farm in a different way, farming is about having a brand strong enough in a geographic area that when they think of real estate, they think of you. And just to bring it all full circle, if these are people in an area that have a 12, 18%, the neighborhood you found, 18% turnover rate, as you create relationships and add those to your CRM, so your CRM is doing the nurturing and the converting, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get there's more listing opportunities, there's more transaction opportunities from your CRM when you fill it with higher list rate, higher transaction people and neighborhoods.
Yeah, dude. I'm stuck on the 12% conversion rate. I can't get it out of my head.
Well, that
Because now
18%, that's crazy. I would usually send a postcard
18% is
today to
nuts.
those homeowners. Yeah.
I found
I mean,
another one right now while you were talking. Jonky's saying, can you show really quickly how you went to ad builder, like
yeah.
how you transitioned over to there?
Yep. Ad builder is up in the upper left-hand side. Let's see. It's right up here. So ad builder pulls from filters. So you want to create your filter. You want to create this filter. Um, and filters can be so I can create this filter and say, okay, well, here's my filter. But you know what? I also just want to um, exclude anything with between one and two bedrooms, right? And now any properties that match that, they're going to filter that out based on what you're doing. So there's all these different filters, right? Household income, estimated equity, whether they're interested in investing, right? You can pull stuff from your city, state. Anyway, you create that filter, you click save. I'm going to save this filter. Did I click it? There you go. I'm going to save this filter as um,
Test.
Geo Farm Test. Now, anything that matches that filter will then go in to that filter. Filters are in real time. The benefit of a filter is this. Let's say I'm going to do ad builder to expireds. Well, people expire and relist every single day. So if my filter is I want expireds that meet this criteria, if anybody new comes into the filter, when you have an ad running every single day, we maintain that list in real time. So as expireds come in, it's going to be part of the list, the custom audience in Facebook. As people relist, we pull it out so you're not wasting your ad dollars, your ad spend on people that don't match your filter. We could spend 30 minutes on ad builder.
Dude, we
You know,
could.
so
Um,
but what we could do is look, we're pretty low pressure around here. If people are interested, they just need to get on the phone and do a demo.
yeah,
You know, let's
very
let's
true.
do a demo, have the team walk you through, because our entire goal right now, it used to be, well, we've been around long enough. You used us long enough, 15,
Mhm.
however many years ago, that the name of the game back then was grind on the phone, get appointments, throw everyone else out. But
Yeah,
that just doesn't work in today. Today the success metric is how many good contacts, leads. And I talked with Kent the other day. He's one of our, you know, he used to work for me and now he does, 600,000 a year in commission being a real estate agent. And
dude.
he it, it it's about good contacts, good leads. And he says, I only add them to my CRM if I know the where, when, and why. Like where do they want to go? What is it within the next 12 months, and why? What is their motivation? And if he has those three things, then he adds it to the CRM. And his whole right now he's doing a challenge, 1,000 dials a day for 100 days.
What are the three things he looks for to be able to add them to the CRM so his
Um,
CRM score quality is higher?
when, where, why? So when is they have to want to move. in the next 12 months. He wants to know where, and he wants to know why, and the why has to be a life event. Because
Mm.
I'm getting divorced, or I'm getting married, or kids have moved out of the house, or I'm we have more kids than we have bedrooms, or my job changed, or some sort of life event. Because he said his job is about selling their motivation back to them. That's his job. And if you don't know their motivation, their why, then it's really hard to get them. But he right now is doing $1,000 a day for 100 days. In 22 days, he's taken 7 listings in 22 days. Um,
Do you
but
guys ever
but
do like a monthly, like maybe quarterly challenge? Like, hey, this month we're gonna do this many dials. Who wants to join, right?
do you want to
Or
help the challenge? We should do that.
that'd be a great challenge to do,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
That'd be such
yeah.
a fun challenge.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun because his results are crazy. But he even said, we did a podcast yesterday, and he said more important than the 7 listings I've got in 22 days. He said the amount of good contacts I've added to my CRM, because these people are going to know me and like me and trust me as I continue to communicate with them. They're going to be easier listings. They're going to listen to me on
What's
price reductions.
what's this guy's name?
Kent Brown.
Kent. Oh, it's Kent.
Yeah, Kent.
Why don't we bring him onto a webinar again? That'd be
All right, let's
great.
bring him up. Yeah,
Uh, dude, I love it. All right. We went way over, but it was great, guys. If you have a question about the specific uh, software package for today, that's the link. It's completely different than what we offer, or what we offered last week. So, Junkie, that's not the one. All right. So, the one we're talking about is amazing. So, just message me and I'll connect you with Curtis. In fact, anybody who's interested in that one, just message me on Facebook or message me on Instagram and I'll connect you to Curtis. But other than that, Curtis, anything you want to add, buddy?
no, man. I look. It's real estate. It's a tough market, but it doesn't have to be a tough business. You just have to put the systems in place. You need to look at things slightly different than what you've done before. Like geographic farming has been around since real estate licenses have been around. But there hasn't been technology to help you pick a neighborhood that's going to give you more opportunity until now. So
That's
it's
very
just
true.
minor tweaks that create this efficiency and help you maximize your time and effort, um, so that you can have a more predictable and sustainable business.
Very true, buddy. Very true. All right, let's do it. Let's bring in Curtis and let's think about a challenge for May. Like,
Love it.
would it be like would the challenge? Well, let's see what everybody says in the chat really quick. Would you guys think a list? Would we go for a listing challenge, or maybe more of the action that we have to do to get the listing? Like, should we add 100 people to the database,
Yep.
right? Like, in a week, that's a challenge. Like a day, I can do that. Anybody can do that.
Yeah, I
A
think I
hundred,
think that.
100 a week, or like you said, a certain amount of dials a day, right? That's crazy, right?
Yep.
So, or contacts.
Right. Contacts, conversations. Um, yeah, we talked through this with Kent. I think he's got some good ideas. He likes dials because that's the one thing he has absolute control over. So that's where he
Okay.
sets a goal around. But the success metrics that all the KPIs he's following is how many conversations, and he counts anybody he has a conversation with. Good number, bad number. He said, if they hang up on me, that's still an outcome. And he goes, and thank goodness it didn't last longer if it wasn't going to result in something good for my business anyway. Right.
Yeah,
So this
that's
is
very
him,
true.
this is him calling, right? Counts every contact, and then um, qualified leads put in my CRM, contacts he adds to his CRM, and then appointments.
Okay, so maybe, well, we want to simplify it in the challenge, right?
Yep.
So let's
Yep.
say, how many people, you know what? How many people should we talk to daily, right? Could that be it? Like the goal? Because then it leaves it open to, or is that too broad? Because people are like, well, should I go meet people at a community? Should I door knock? Should I call them? Well, what should I do? Dialing might be the one where it narrows it down.
Dialing challenge is a big deal, but again, look, you don't want to. That's not how everybody needs to do business anymore.
So what do we
And I
do?
will argue that you
Yeah, I agree.
should,
I agree with you.
but
No,
to
I
me,
agree.
I think the main metric we're going for is how many qualified leads do you add to your CRM? Because if your CRM is set up, and this is not a pitch for CRM, I don't have a CRM. I integrate with lots of CRMs, but if you don't have a good CRM, I don't know why you're in business. Like you have to have something that is helping you to communicate, and you can't automate relationships, but you can augment them with a lot of automation. And so you have to have a good CRM. So I think the main success metric is how many people are you adding to your CRM? And if you're adding 100 people who are going to list their home, in the next, well, if it's expireds or FISBOs, let's use FISBOs. They're pretty non-threatening. Go knock on some FISBO doors.
Mhm.
40, well, 38% of them will list with an agent within 6 weeks of putting their home up for sale. So, like, you go knock on their doors and you add those people, you add 100 FISBOs to your database. Well, 40 listings are going to come out of that in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah,
And if
not necessarily with one agent either, right? It's spread out.
no, well, and the hope is it's going to be a bunch of them will be you, and the hope is that you have a good CRM that helps you build a relationship so they'll choose you. But yeah, I think qualified leads or leads added to your CRM is probably the most important metric, because even if you get an appointment, you also just added that person into your CRM. You just moved them further along in your pipeline in your CRM.
Okay, so maybe you're right. Maybe tracking appointments is the key.
Yep. Yeah, because
Like,
if people want to spend time with their trying to get referrals, well, as long as you meet the referral and you make contact and you understand the when, where and why,
okay.
then they get put into your CRM and that would count.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you get there, it's just the appointment, right? You can
That's right.
text them, you can social media it, you
Yep.
can call them by FISBO expired, mailer, I don't care. It all comes down to the appointment. So how many, I'm just gonna do this with you right now. How many appointments should we shoot for in a week? That's a challenge for people. Like if you tell me one appointment a week, that's not gonna do anything, right?
No, one a day would be, I
That's a
think,
good
a stretch
challenge.
for most people,
Yeah.
uh, and probably way more than most people are doing.
So we
Yeah.
could do like
But
a
very, very possible. I mean,
one week
it's
challenge, one appointment a day. Junkie, to find appointment, it would either be doing a buyer presentation or a seller presentation. That's an appointment, right, guys? Right?
yes.
It doesn't matter if it's a Zoom presentation. I don't care. As long as it's
Yep.
a presentation that you're doing to get business. I like that. One appointment a day, 7 day challenge. That's so, I mean, when you put it at 7 days, it's pretty easy. Who can do that? Who can't
Yeah, you
do
could.
that in
Right.
7 days?
And
Sounds
our
good.
numbers are, about 30% of the appointments will cancel on you, once you set the appointment.
Okay.
So,
So if I have seven,
and
then
you
three,
go on four, the question is if you go on four good buyer or seller listing, let's say a listing presentation, how many contracts are you going to get? I mean,
yeah,
you should get one of them.
you should get one of them. You're
I
right.
mean, yeah. So,
Maybe we could tier it, Curtis. We could have like, listen, you're gonna go for one a day, you're gonna go for two a day, or you're gonna go for three a day, right? And it's a
well, we
seven
could
day
have different
challenge.
prizes, right? I mean, let's
Yeah.
let's give them a year of RedX,
Damn. So
as a
tier number one
prize.
would be like, we're going on 3 appointments a day. If you can prove it that you got there, right? You're gonna get this.
Yep.
Then we've got the second one, which is who wins at 2 appointments a day, right? And then the last one, which is tier one, which is 1 appointment a day.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
dude.
we have a dashboard that can track all of this from RedX. So if they're RedX users, then they can, the system will help track all of their behaviors and just put it into the dashboard.
I think we should team up to do this so that your people could have the challenge too, because they're the ones who are on RedX,
Agreed.
right?
Yep.
And then we can announce it in lab codes. It's like, if you've got RedX, we're going to do this challenge for the first week of May type of thing, right? Like, so this way, for those that still call, they can take advantage of it and do like the last day of the month and the first day of the month. Because that's
Yeah,
when
yeah, because you,
expires
yeah,
come
I
out,
mean,
right?
that's,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Yep.
Oh, dude, I'm liking what we're coming up with. This is good.
People want to see how our normal conversations go outside of this was it.
That was it. This is how
This is
we
this is it.
mastermind.
This is like, yeah, it's like a little bit of, yeah, okay, yep, let's do it.
That was good. I like this. It says 7-day challenge. This way it doesn't last 30 days. We
Yep.
got 3 tiers: entry level, mid level, and expert, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 appointments a day, dude. That is not
I think you
easy.
need to do 14 days. I think you need to do more than a week, because
14 days?
people jump on and they spend the first 3 days psyching themselves up to even do something.
Okay. 14-day challenge.
Yep.
14 days. Let me put a little cross on that. All right, let's pick the 2 weeks, and then we can solidify it and then pick the 3 tiers to see where people want to be. And then we'll go from there.
Love it. We're
Dude,
in.
this is
So if
good.
anybody's watching or watching the replay, then look for the invites to our challenge.
I like that, dude. I like that. Thanks, man.
Okay.
I
Thanks,
connected
Tristan.
you with
Appreciate
Junkie
it.
by text.
Okay. Awesome. Perfect.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.